Devizes to Westminster, or the DW as it's commonly known, is a race that goes from Devizes to Westminster. Quite simple really. It started in 1948, that was the first race, and has progressed. Now we ran our 75th race this year. Essentially it's run in as two types of races. You can do it non-stop or you can do it over 4 days. The non-stop race starts on Saturday. Paddlers set off in Devizes and generally don't stop paddling until they get to Westminster in London. The Stages race is run over 4 days with overnight stops at Newbury, Marlow and Teddington.
The race is fairly technical. There's 3 different types of waterways, which makes it one of the most unique races in the world. Paddlers start on the canal, they make their way up to Reading where they join the River Thames, and then when they get to Teddington about 108 miles in, they join the tideway before they head all the way down into London. But it's not just about the water. There's locks they need to tackle, and they can vary as well in difficulty.
This year had a number of challenges, so it's well documented that 2024 was a very tough financial year for Devizes Westminster. We had to do some crowdfunding, we raised significant funding through that, which allowed the race to continue into 2025. So the biggest challenge for the team was to make sure that we would be financially stable.
This year has been more positive. We've brought in sponsorship, one of those, and the main one being ThruDark, who have joined as title sponsors for this year. It was great to have them out and about along the course as well throughout this year's race. For sporting events, the landscape is always changing, so financial stability is always difficult no matter what kind of event you are. But we've been really fortunate that this year we've been able to push on, make progress, and we're excited to see where the future goes. And it's not just about the financial element. We're trying to broaden the audience for this race to new people that might not necessarily have come across it before. And as part of that, the stand-up paddleboard class was introduced for 2025.
So we opened that up as a trial to try to bring that community into the DW world. And we're delighted that we were able to run 2 paddleboarders down and they successfully completed the course, which was great and paves the foundation for making that a formal class for 2026. Despite all the sunshine and all the wet weather in February and March, when we came to the race, Easter weekend had a pretty strong easterly breeze.
It was really strong right from the off at Devizes. A lot of paddlers found that hard going, sapping all their energy all the way through the night. And it was a colder night than normal as well. So, you start to add the colder temperatures to the headwind and it made for a really difficult race.
Other thing that happened was that we had an extremely dry end of March. So there was very, very little flow on the river. So paddlers not only had to compete with a headwind, but then didn't get the flow that they would normally expect on the River Thames. So I would say this year had tough conditions, and then if you add in the night that was not particularly warm, a lot of paddlers got quite cold at night and had to do several kit changes. We had a less than 50% success rate in senior doubles, so more than 50% of the boats didn't finish. That's the worst completion rate since 1983. So I think you could say the conditions this year were tough, bordering on pretty brutal.
So there were a couple of people that stood out. If you look at the Waterside series that took place in the build-up to Easter on the junior doubles, there was one standout K2 crew. It was Lovell and Kramer. They didn't disappoint. They absolutely flew across the race, winning every single day, a huge margin. We spoke to them at the end of the race, and this is what they had to say.
Long. It's a long ride. It was long, yeah. It's really nice.
God!
You know it.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, final day coming down the tideway, finishing here. What's it been like?
There were a bit of big waves actually.
Yeah, there were
Everyone
quite
said
big
it was going to be flat, and then it got a bit away from someone. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, you completely smashed it. You're gonna look at doing the senior doubles in the future.
We've discussed it. We might need to do some longer overnight practice there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
A few years' time, yeah.
One for the bench.
At the school cruise, it was actually quite close racing actually for the school cruise. There was a crew that paddled last year from Bolton that were second. They did really well, but they weren't massively far ahead of the boats behind them. So I think the sort of for the podium places behind first, and then fourth and fifth and sixth were all quite close. So that was really good. In the stages race as well, we have team prizes. The school team prize is always well fought. Again, I think Bolton won that maybe by an hour across 3 boats of a cumulative time. So again, that's quite close considering that's 60 hours total time. The team race was actually very close, which was good to see. On the other stages, so the singles, we had a good entry this year. We had over 20 boats, and we had some very good paddlers, Division 1s and Division 2s. So the leader again was pretty much call it before the event. So George won with probably an hour to spare. Second and third were quite close, and then the lower places and sort of 4th, 5th and 6th really tight. So some very good racing, and some of those places changed hands over the course of the weekend.
Yesterday took a lot out of me. I tried to make a bit of another dent, but yeah, I was really tired this morning. And then it got really bouncy halfway through, and yeah, just had nothing left. But really glad I did it, and great event, and I'd recommend it to more K1s really.
Yeah, and obviously the final stretch today, obviously new finish line as well for this year. What was it like coming in?
Yeah, no, I've never paddled on tidal Thames, so anything past kind of Hampton Court is a bit alien to me. So no, it was good fun. Can't say I enjoyed some of the boats going through, but got it done. So yeah, really pleased. Thank you.
It was also great to see both of our stand-up paddleboarders finish this year. Emily King and Paddy McCormack were the two tackling that class. Paddy was the eventual victor, Emily not far behind, but it was great to see both of them completing it at 100% finish rate for this year's subclass, and we really hope it grows more in the future. Here's what they both had to say about the very first subclass of Devizes to Westminster.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. 4 very different days. Yeah, like in terms of paddleboard, like, it's a beautiful course. Like compared to other ones around the world, the constant like scenery, and I suppose for me, coming from Ireland, our rivers, there's like just fields around it. Whereas paddling through beautiful, picturesque houses and things like that, you know, it was lovely.
Yeah.
Hard work. I was faster than like some of the crews going through the portages because I could be faster getting off the board and running with it. But then, yeah, the K-boats are definitely a little quicker on the flats. So, happy days. Respect to all the junior crews as well. I was talking to some of them on the water yesterday, and to like, I've been paddling my whole life, kayaks, canoes, all that stuff. But for the kids, 16-year-olds, to be like, start paddling in January and do this 4-day event, that's unreal. Like, people kept saying well done to me, but there was also another, I think he's a junior paddling C1, and like, I'm standing, that's okay, on your one knee, paddling on one side for, yeah, whatever that was, 100-something miles. But yeah, really good.
And obviously, the first time we do the subclass, what would you say to anyone who was thinking about doing a stand-up paddle class for this for future years?
Yeah, give it a go. Yeah, like it's again, like every event, everyone's really welcoming, everyone's very happy. You know, there's lots of support. Yeah, and I think if you put in a little bit of work, that it's definitely within the time cuts and that for people, it's achievable. And then like we had a hell of a headwind for one day, but then it was made up for with a bit of flow as well. So yeah, just got to put in the work, and definitely it's an event to do.
Words don't describe it. You go through every emotion. You just can't quite believe what you're capable of. As I came over that finish line and I heard everybody cheering, it was absolute euphoria, out of my body moment, when I was just like, I've got this, I'm going, I've done it. And you time stops, it's just incredible, it's just amazing.
And what was that final stage coming down the tideway like for you?
It had its own challenges. Luckily we didn't have any wind today. But there were a lot of rowers out, so they're all over the shop, so you're reading the water the whole time, lots of wake from boats as well. So you really can't be off your game because you don't want to take a dip. So it was paddle hard, keep pace up, try and keep a good rhythm going, but also be really aware of everything that was around us. So I wouldn't say it was a float down the pond at all.
And obviously, this is the first time obviously stand-up paddleboard have had a class obviously for this year. I mean, what would you say to anybody else with paddleboarders that were thinking about doing the race?
This is up there with world-class racing in terms of it's an adventure challenge. So if you love paddling and you want to push yourself to the limit, then absolutely this is the race for you. Train hard, get your knowledge, do your homework, come in prepared, and you're in for the biggest treat of your life. Absolutely. The atmosphere is amazing, the paddlers look awesome. It's so well organised, it's so well put together. Honestly, it's a world-class event.
Typically with DW, you don't actually get a race. The boats start at different times because of their predicted times for Teddington. So this year we had 4 or 5 boats at Devizes after 5 o'clock, all jockeying for the best time to start. All the way down the course, those 5 boats were in contention. I think if you wanted to try and, it's very hard to pick a winner before the race out of the top 4 crews. Four crews were on paper the quickest. My money would always have been on Tom and Nushi to do it again. They just know the race. They pace themselves. They know how to deliver the performance over the 20 hours or 17 hours, whatever it was this year. The other crews have done it before with a different degree of success, but didn't have that, I think, the experience.
It was getting really hard to work out where everybody was in the pecking order as the race unfolded. They were so tightly knit. I mean, the top 4 were separated at Teddington by just 3 minutes. I believe Tom and Anushka were in 3rd place by the time they arrived at Teddington. But they put in an absolutely monumental performance down that tideway to end up winning the race by 4 minutes.
Hadn't quite sunk in yet. We didn't know. We were so close, even at Teddington. They said within a minute. We just had to give it everything, but there was nothing left. I guess we had a little bit more left than they did. But it was neck and neck all the way.
Yeah.
And they pushed us right the way to the line.
How was that final stretch down the top?
It wasn't just the final stretch, but from a long way out, it was harder than any other race I've been involved with. But we knew what was at stake, so we plowed on.
And you got it, and you're DW champions again for 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This race is quite odd in that you get a segmentation of paddlers. So you get those that want to win, or those that are trying to win and capable of winning or podium. And then you get a lot of paddlers whose sole purpose is just to get to the end. And in a way, the race is as much about them as it is about the people that win it. So we always think that anyone that gets to the end is a winner. That might be a bit of a cliche, but given the conditions this year and the fact that half the paddlers didn't get to the end, they pulled out. Massive congratulations to anybody that got to Westminster. And in the senior doubles, and it was it was some of those stories they'll live with them for years. Lots of incidents of sort of endeavour and overcoming challenges. People with injuries before they start that got worse on the day. People that were absolutely completely finished at Westminster, but managed to get back in the boat and do the last 17 miles. Lots of great stories, but that's what the race is about.
There are many different stories coming to this, people coming from all different corners of the world. We had paddlers coming from Australia, we had paddlers coming from all across Europe. We also had a crew coming from Canada in a Canadian canoe as well. It seemed like they didn't really know what they were entirely letting themselves in for this year's race. They've done plenty of races in North America in the past, but as they kind of explained, it was mainly sort of touring events as kind of their bread and butter. So this was an all new event for them to tackle, and they did really well. We caught up with them at the start of the race before their journey embarked,
I'm Jules,
I'm Xavier.
and yeah, we're from Montreal, Quebec in Canada, and we really wanted to get into the marathon canoeing circuit,
Yeah.
and we thought it'd be a good place to start. I mean, it's quite different from what we're used to, but we're very excited.
And you're going obviously with the Canadian with obviously wooden paddles.
We're taking a bit of an alternate choice. We have wooden paddles.
Yeah.
And 18-foot Genoa boat, a bit wider, a bit more of what we're used to.
Yeah.
So we're kind of going the unconventional route. But
We haven't done a lot of racing, so we're kind of used to, long distance lake paddling and that kind of stuff.
So we've kind of tried to adapt our style from back home into this style here.
I was in Quebec for the winter, so I haven't gotten the chance to paddle a lot.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of kind of sticking with what we know. And,
Exactly.
But we've been training, we've been going to the gym and stuff. But, we'll see about the paddling.
Yeah, it should be good though.
Yeah, we're excited.
We've done this like our whole lives. We've done a lot of canoe tripping, a lot of that since we were kids. So we're sticking to our roots.
Yeah.
Giving muscle memory, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you excited for this year's race?
Very excited.
Yeah, we're super excited. Yeah, and I've been. Jules lives in the UK now, but I've been here for maybe 10 days, and I just love the British countryside. I love the little logs and the river boats and stuff. And I'm really excited to paddle on this.
And we want to, if this goes well, which it will, it'll go amazingly well. More people from back home will definitely want to do something like this. So that's what we're going for. Start a movement.
Yeah. Bring the Canadians.
Come back to the homeland and win the canoe races. Exactly.
One really nice story is a paddle crew that were made up on Facebook. So an Irish paddler, Derek King, I think his partner got injured or was ill before Easter. He put a post out on Facebook saying he's looking for a partner, anyone want to paddle, and we managed to pair him up with a guy from Australia who was coming over to do the race but didn't have a partner. So we married those two together, and they jumped in a boat and they got to the end. So really, really nice story.
So we've got an internet romance going on. So Derek posted, I think I posted first on DW Facebook page and asked whether there was anyone interested in doing DW in 2025. This was about October last year. And then there was nothing for a week. And then all of a sudden this fella from Northern Ireland popped up and he said, anyone interested in doing DW this year? And then somebody jumped on and said it was an Aussie guy last week asking the same question. And that's how we got together.
Yeah. And how's training been going?
Well,
we did a week fortnight ago. Yeah, I came over. He was over visiting family, so I came over. We paddled for a week. So we haven't killed each other yet. It's looking promising.
I know we were paddling separate. I was paddling in Australia. Derek was paddling in Northern Ireland. I was quite happy doing the summer training there while he was freezing his balls off in Northern Ireland.
Yes.
This year, we weren't able to take the stages race to Westminster. That's a long story behind that, but fundamentally governed by the PLA. So we had to find a different finish. We wanted to give the stage races a tideway finish. Previously we've stopped at Teddington and cut it to 3 days, and in some years we've cut it at Reading because of the Thames being in flood. So this year we were pretty determined to get them a paddle on the tideway on the Monday and get a tideway finish. So we found a location at Barn Elms, which is opposite Fulham Football Club, about 11 miles into the tideway, so probably 6 miles from Westminster, so a fair chunk, of the way into London. And I have to say that location was just fantastic. We had a real party atmosphere. Everybody that finished stayed behind. The supporters all stayed. Every paddler got cheered across the line. It was just, I just felt the vibe and the camaraderie, the spirit was just brilliant. And I think Barn Elms for this year worked absolutely brilliantly.
There's always this misconception that DW is for elite paddlers only, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. A high proportion of people taking on this race every year are our first timers. It's not just about doing this race to race. It's not about going out to win for everybody. It's a challenge. It's one of the hardest things you can do.
The race caters for all of those abilities and capabilities and skill sets. So what I call challenge paddlers, those that are looking just to get to the end, and they may take 24, 26, 30 hours. The race copes with that, and the race is available and is open to those paddlers to come and try it. We are not a race that only wants elite paddlers. We want to embrace everybody, and that's the essence of the race.